And I was wondering, do you feel like your outspokenness has cost you anything? Do you feel like it's cost you opportunity, or
Sure.
like, I'm not even sure you get the credit you deserve, to be perfectly honest for you with you.
I appreciate
about what
that.
you did. Yeah.
Sure, it has. I mean, I spoke to a couple of people last week because this actually, oddly enough, came up on the streams I was doing, and they said to me, there's two people said this to me. They were like, your way of delivery of things intimidates certain people, and I was like, okay, I guess I can sort of see that. I guess I can sort of see that, but it's not consciousness, like, or it's not conscious. It's not like I'm sitting around going, I'm going to be this character. I'm going to be this guy that's outspoken. And when I'm off the mic, I'm not that, I put a premium on genuineness. I put a premium on honesty. That doesn't mean I have a monopoly on it just because I open my mouth more than anyone else. But I think when I see something, I say something, and I think that trumps a lot of other shit. I don't value a lot of the same things a lot of people value. I don't, I don't love material things anymore like I used to. So, but I certainly would like money. I want to make sure I take care of my family and stuff, but I'm not, I don't need the big house anymore. I've had the big house. I sold it. I don't need the big, kudos anymore. I've gotten every award my industry can give, and I gave those away to fans. I don't need the fancy schmancy cars. I mean, all those trappings of things that you get if you play the game really lost their appeal to me once I got them and realized, oh, well, I'm not any happier now than I was when I didn't have them. And if I have a microphone, I'm going to use it. I don't mean literally, although at this moment we're talking literally. I'm going to use it to either A, express things that I think are worth expressing, or B, allow myself to interact with people who know more than I do and say, talk to me about this, explain this to me. So people sometimes get confused because they're like, Jaffe, why do you entertain trolls on your stream? Or why are you like, I've said before, I'm like, hey, if you're a member of the KKK or if you're a anti-Semite, I would love to talk to you. And they're like, you're giving them a platform. I'm like, it's not like people don't know these assholes are out there. It's not like anyone who's going to be influenced by a fucking KKK moron doesn't know where to look. But I want to know what makes these fuckers tick. I don't support them. I think they're horrible people, or at least horrible ideas. I think fundamentally everybody's just an afraid, scared person trying to get through their day, and they got knocked down a really terrible path for some reason. But ultimately, though, I'm fascinated by this shit. So I'm outspoken because I get one shot at this life. Why would I just be this little, dude in the corner just all like, oh, I don't know if I should say something. That's a ridiculous way to live to me. That's a long answer, Colin. I'm sorry.
No, it's great. Dude, I want to talk to you. This is a great answer. And I can relate to some of what you're saying, I feel like, because I feel like, the more outspoken you are, maybe not only in our industry, but generally speaking, you see it in politics and entertainment, the more that people kind of try to project certain things on you.
Yes.
And it becomes easy for them to do that. I become really fond of Glenn Greenwald, the political writer in recent years. And he's very similar, where he says whatever he wants. And so people attack him for that. But I agree with you. It's worth the risk of being attacked to say something meaningful or poignant, as opposed to being the same as everyone else. And that's why I know the way the industry works well enough to know that it must have cost you something. And I think it's awesome to oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. Please.
No, I was going to say, I mean, it probably has, but and I don't, you're in a different position because those things have been more spelled out for you. Like the PAX thing, it was clear. Oh, whatever you did, which God, I still don't know, clearly cost you. You could say, oh, here's one thing that's concrete. It was the PAX panel, right? I don't really, I reached out about 3 weeks ago to, I'm not going to say their name. Fuck it, I will. I reached out a couple of weeks ago to Amy Hennig. And I don't know her that well. We've had nice conversations in the past, but I'm like, oh, she'd be great to have come on the stream and let's talk about games and what she's doing now and how she's trying to branch out to more, how do you bring people in to video games or interactivity that are more mainstream people that aren't used to having sort of the intimidation of choices when they're sitting down for their entertainment. Well, I reached out to her on Twitter and I reached out to her on Facebook where we're friends and I haven't heard back at all, right? Now, that could mean that she's busy. She didn't get it, but there's probably about 40% of the people who usually in the past would have gotten back to me have not gotten back to me at all now. And so I'm like, is that because some of them are now going, this guy is problematic given that he's got such a big mouth, blah, blah, blah. And now he's using that big mouth in a platform that's just open to the world. And I'm sure some of them are that, yeah. But, I don't care. I care in the sense that it would be nice to talk to Amy. That'd be awesome. But I think it's this, what it is? I think it's this kind of, and maybe you've led the way or you've been one of the key guys leading the way on this where PR is only as powerful or as you let it be, right? As you say, I mean, you've got one of, if not the, I think it might be the most successful Patreon sort of geek culture video
right
game things going on. You don't need Sony's early access codes. You don't need Neil Druckmann to come on your show and talk about, oh, well, let me tell you the bullet points of why Uncharted is really good, right? Or Last of Us or whatever. It's like, that's not, everybody can get that. It's like anyone who plays the game, it's like, it's like this last week, it's like, oh, look, I got Resident Evil Village, 3 hours before everyone else. Yay, right. My viewership will go up 20% for about 3 hours. And then no one will care unless you're connecting with your audience and being genuine and open and offering something.
Exactly.
And so, I think it's just, has it cost me? Probably. And would I like to keep doing what I'm doing? I just signed a deal. I'm doing something with these guys in Poland named Movie Games, which is really interesting. I'm doing my streams, which I love. But, do I want to go work at a grocery store if everything falls out? And no, but the people at my grocery store are nice.
Right.
And and I'm like, well, what? So what? It's like, I'm not going to, God, it's just, I think you just go back. Maybe there is something called reincarnation, like maybe that's real, or maybe we've been around a couple of times. I don't know what it is, but for some reason I have a very strong view that you're here. Why are you living small? Why are you being quiet? And I don't mean that like I'm trying to be a motivational speaker. I mean that like intellectually I can't suss it out any other way. It's like, why? It doesn't explain to me the logic, and maybe I'll come around to your side, but why? What are you waiting for? Is kind of what it feels like to me.
Sure. It's what you're saying is so relatable because it's that, at least maybe we react to this differently because you're saying it doesn't affect you too much. It used to affect me a little bit in just not knowing, like that mystery, right? You reach out to PR and you don't hear back and you're like, well, right. I've been in this game so long. Sometimes they really do miss your emails, but I know typically they know what's going on. And then you just start getting ignored over and over again. And then you have to kind of start reading into things. And before you know it, you're forced out of the system. And we were just able to kind of embrace that, I think, because I agree with you. I remember, David, like what it was like to get a game early at IGN. We used to get games early all the time. You tweet it out, you feel cool, you're playing it online, your friends see it on your on your friends list. It's something that everyone falls into. And then that kind of loses its luster, at least it did for me. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck about this. I want to just like enjoy video games. I want to play them. I want to make them. I want to do all these kinds of things. And so it is liberating to be outside of that. And it is just frustrating knowing that people continue down and mimic often the same people that they see, not realizing that a different kind of voice is needed in order to proliferate if you want to exist outside of the system. I feel like a lot of people are saying the same exact things. So when that verbiage ping pongs off of all these different people, well, of course I stand out. Of course you stand out. I mean, it's not even, I often tell people, I'm like, I'm not even sure what I'm saying is necessarily that poignant. It's just different. And people just want to hear something different. And that's why I think people embrace you as well.
I think people want to tune into things like what you do and what I've started doing and just people want connection. They want to, your story. I was telling Dustin. Dustin called into my stream last week, and he's like, "Dude, can I please? I want to leave. Colin's group. They're awful, and they crunch. And Jason Schreier's writing a whole article on it. Can I come work with you guys?" And I says, "Dustin, no, I don't poach people." But after we talked about that. Look at Dustin's like, do I come in? Do I
stay out.
Fuck, now I lost my train of thought. But you know what? The joke was worth it. God damn it, Jaffe, you old man motherfucker. Colin, what were we talking about?
Oh, we were talking about you had brought up Dustin calling into your stream the other day, and I was talking about people saying different things and just having something different to say.
Oh, right. So I don't remember. The point is, though, yes, goddamn, Colin, that's bad, baby. I've been doing weed more since it's become legal here.
Yeah, it's all good.
And it wasn't. Well, no, I'm not ashamed of it. I'm just saying that I'd done it a little bit in the past. Just whatever. I wasn't a big drug guy. And then it became legal, and I'm like, fuck it, I'll try it. And it really is like, I joke about it, but it's ordering a pizza. There's a website, and you just go, I'll take that, and I'll take that, and I'll take that. And the guy's at your door, and he's not some guy with a gun in his fucking waistband. He's just like, it's Milt, or it's Fred, okay, hey, man. You get your weed in a nice little bag and shit, and then you're off to the races, man.
Are you using Ease? Is that what you use? EAZE?
No, I'm using Torrey Hills Dispensary because
cool, local joint.
Yeah, nice. Well, the Ease people were like, okay, we need you to take a picture of your driver's license. We need you to take a picture of your credit card. Fuck you, I'm not giving you that shit.
Right.
So these guys are local too.
Cool.
I was playing Resident Evil Village the other night, high as a goddamn kite, and I'll tell you something. A lot of people, and I don't know if they're faking it or not. They must not be. I don't fucking know. But it's like a lot of, I'm scared. Games scare me. Games like that. I don't know if I can make it through. I'm like, really? You're a grown-ass man. You can't sit there and play a fucking horror video game? And I've been on horror movie sets and stuff. So maybe, I love horror, though. It's one of my favorite genres. But what I realized the last year is if you watch horror or if you play horror high, it gets you back to that lizard brain, and it is so much fun because things actually scare you again, like when you were a little kid. And I'm like, oh, this is delightful. I mean, you can't solve puzzles worth a damn because, but boy, I'll tell you what, man. But anyway, okay, back to talking okay, I know what it was. The people who are saying things and kind of continue to sort of toe the line of expression and doing reporting. I don't do reporting. I would never even, I covet, I fetishize good reporters. I would never want to be a reporter. I don't consider it's a ridiculous concept, but people who are in that industry proper and are doing what you're saying, which is kind of mirroring kind of the standard and don't necessarily, whether they understand or not, if they're getting ahead or not, who knows? But, I find them benign. I find them boring. And I also find that I wouldn't want guests on my show it's like, okay, yeah, you can have, like, I have Troy Baker coming on this week. God, I hope he doesn't Google me. Because he might say, fuck this guy. But
he's always been really nice. He seems like a nice. He's a nice guy.
I've heard some of his interviews. He seems very introspective. He seems like he'll be a good conversation.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
But the point is, though, it's like a lot of these people, it's like, yeah, you can have, Corey Barlog back on your stream. Corey just called in, on his own. But I'm sure if he went through Sony PR, it's like, here's the things you can ask. Here are the areas. Go fuck yourself, motherfucker. Yeah. You think I want somebody on my stream that I can talk to based on, why would I want that? Why don't you just send me a fucking sheet of what he's going to say? And I've been the guy reported on in that. I've had interviews. The last one I remember was with who was the guy? Was it John? He ran the Rolling Stone video game group for a little bit.
John Davidson.
John Davidson, good guy. Yeah. I like John. But we did this interview in San Francisco, and I was just very open, as I always am. And I'm with my PR guy from Sony, and as I'm heading back to the car, the PR guy's like, okay, I'm just going to hang back with John for a few minutes. And I'm like, okay, I know what this is. This is him cleaning up what we just did, right? And I'm like, why would you want even somebody on your show that's handled like that. It's
Yeah.
like I would rather have somebody you've never heard about that we can have a good chat. And, you know, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not a moron. I'd much rather have someone you've heard about and are excited to hear because you'll get more ratings. But, you know, do you really need to hear somebody come on and say the same fucking shit they said on IGN, on Game Informer? It's like, oh, fuck that shit.
It reminds me of just like when on the Sunday shows, which I really like, you know, the Sunday political shows.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
It's like, well, yeah, you know, so it's like when Fauci's on and he's on every episode of every show that week.
That's
and so
right.
You just start skipping it and it's boring. I totally agree with you. I don't like the canned stuff. And it's funny, I don't even bother. I haven't talked to any PR people in more than 2 years, but I used to ask PlayStation back in 2018 or 2019, like, can I have Neil Druckmann? Like, he's a personal friend of mine. Like, can we just have, he would be very happy to sit down and talk with me if you would just let him. We don't even have to talk about the game. I would actually like to talk to him about what his favorite books are or something.
Right.
You know? And they were like, no way. And it's clear that they're hostile. It's funny. You will find this funny. My ad reps who are totally unassociated with Sony, during The Last of Us Part 2, there were a bunch of that. They did that podcast series, if you remember, like that Last of Us podcast series was like some sort of accompaniment. Anyway, they were going to sponsor, like my guys came to me and were like, oh, Sony's going to sponsor your show for The Last of Us. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't even say anything to them. Like, as it got closer, the day got closer, I'm like, this is totally going to get pulled off when PR and marketing realized that they sold, you know, 50 different podcasts and one of them is mine. And lo and behold, I didn't even say anything. I'm like, it is never going to happen. And lo and behold, it never happened because because the target is on us.